What is up, ladies and gentlemen? That is right, I'm Chris Smith. Today I'm going to be reviewing Jane Done Got a Fucking Gun. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, not Janie. No Aerosmith in here, so that is a bad thing. But yes, let's talk about this right here, right now. So if you didn't know, the plot of Jane Got a Gun is pretty much about this woman named Jane. She has to defend her home from outlaws. The only problem is her husband is worthless and she can't defend herself. Oh shit. So that's pretty much the basic plot of this thing. Now, Jane Done Got a Gun, if you didn't know already, this thing had a lot of problems from the rights being taken and nobody wanted to finance it. Did a Weinstein buying the rights and one of the studios going bankrupt, to a whole bunch of stars being dropped out like Cooper and Fassbender, and a whole bunch of other Jude Law dropped out. A whole bunch of people got dropped out. From the directors got dropped out. I'm just like, damn, what the hell is going on here? And this movie started in 2012 and it's finally getting released in 2016. So obviously there's a lot of problems. So does it show on screen? Yeah, it does. Because the main problem with this movie is that it's really kind of like inconsistent, or there's a lot of pieces left unanswered to this big ass piece of puzzle. Now you can tell there was a lot more story probably to be added into this thing, but unfortunately they just kind of gave you whatever they was. They probably dumbed it down, or at least shortened it down to salvage whatever parts was really there, and that's kind of what you really get. Now Natalie Portman, Joel Edgerton, Ian McGregor, they do good jobs for what they're given, but for the most part, I feel like some of the more interesting character aspects probably got taken out of the original cut of it. Now, I don't know how much was actually left on screen, but unfortunately, you get a very dull, kind of blandish Western. And I'm glad the Westerns are coming back to the forefront, but don't call it a comeback, because they're not. Unfortunately, this Western is just kind of one of those Westerns that you just kind of see, forget about, and yeah, it's not as bad as Diablo with Scott Eastwood, but it's then again, it's not as good as like the Dollars trilogy or anything really. It's about as good as that Sharon Stone Western with Gene Hackman. But for me personally, Gavin O'Connor, good director. Joel Edgerton, I think, actually wrote the script also. They worked well in Warrior. What went wrong here? I don't think it was the direction. I don't think it was the writing. Maybe it was the studio meddling in with the editing process. But for me personally, it was slightly entertaining for the most part, but there's nothing really happening, and the stuff that is happening is just happening. There's no circumstances. There's no really um, any reprimands going on here. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, that's pretty much my thing. It's kind of sloppy. It's not the worst thing imaginable, but it's not that great. It could have been like a cool B movie thing, because I thought that's what they were trying to go for. You know, Jane Got a Gun. The poster looked cool. Joel Edgerton, I thought, was actually probably one of the better parts of this thing, and that's kind of it. There's nothing really to talk about too much in this movie, sadly, and you know, I wasn't looking forward to it, but it sounded like an interesting B movie premise that maybe somebody like Tarantino probably could have salvaged, but unfortunately, once again, I'm saying it, but it just kind of fell flat a bit. Jane got a gun, but she's apparently firing blanks. That is my review. Comment, subscribe, and like. Yes, subscribe. Do it. Do it. Signing out.